So today I want to share this clip from my own training and talk you through why I'm doing what I'm doing with these Smith machine squats. Between rugby and jiu-jitsu, I have about 25 years of lifting and contact sport on the clock. I have a lot of injuries in my history, including no meniscus on my left knee, almost no ACL on my right knee, and an LCL tear on the same knee in 2023. I've also got a long and distinguished history of back pain. I'm almost 40 years old now, and there was an almost 2-year period in my 20s where it was so painful I struggled to put on my socks. Consequently, I've had to learn the hard way how to adapt my training around this stuff when I'm training for hypertrophy or muscle gain, which is what I'm trying to do in this video. I think it's a must if you're an older grappler or you have a long injury history, but I think it's good practice in general for all athletes, and here's why. Keeping things very simplistic, strength is a central nervous system driven quality. There's no two ways about it. You're going to need to train with heavy loads to stimulate it, and that obviously means placing heavy loads on your joints. Hypertrophy or muscle gain, on the other hand, is a local tissue-driven quality. It's all about the conditions you create within the muscle itself. And the signal that we send to the body to lay down new muscle is a function of how much tension we produce, how much damage we create, and how much metabolic byproducts we create when we exercise. And with some small tweaks, we can ramp up all three without the need to increase external load, limiting stress to the joints and aggravating existing injuries. In short, we get a lot more bang for our buck and we get more muscle for less risk. Here are the 5 things that I'm doing in this video, which you can try if you would like to do the same. The first is an anterior weight shift. The more upright we can keep the posture during squatting, the more of the load we're going to place on the quads and the less on the erectors of the spine, and the less likely we are to irritate the lower back. There are 2 ways to do this, which I'm using. One is a heel lift and the other is locking in an upright posture with a Smith machine as opposed to a regular barbell. The second is high reps. Although they're not created equally in terms of maximal strength, high and low reps build muscle just as much as one another if you push close to failure. The difference being, though, that high reps are much less likely to stress the joints or connective tissue to a point of mechanical failure that would result in an injury. 3 is deep range. Deep range helps hypertrophy for 2 reasons. One is stretching the inner range may contribute to the recruitment of more motor units, and obviously you can't hypertrophy what hasn't first been recruited and then fatigued in training. And number 2 is more range equals more time under tension per rep, and more time under tension should equal more muscle for a given load. 4 is slow eccentrics, or the lowering portion of the rep. Same rationale as before, time under tension. This also serves to limit load and irritation of the joints because there's going to be an inverse relationship between the load on the bar and the extent to which we can control that load during the eccentric portion of the rep. 5th and finally is pauses. Human beings are clever and we instinctively figure out ways to complete tasks for the least amount of effort and energy as possible. One way in which we do this when squatting is bouncing out of the bottom of reps. Pauses not only gets rid of this and forces you to rely more on muscular force and tension, I've found that it's also a lot less likely to aggravate the knee in terminal flexion. Alternatively, you can ignore everything I just said and get on the peptides and the Tijuana supplements. Us.